Welcome. This is our 7th Cosmic Vespers and our first afternoon Vespers. And thank you for finding your way here. First, we'd like to start off with some announcements. And Marianne.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Penny. I want to invite everybody. Today is the 6th. In 2 weeks, so 2 weeks from today, um, I am going to do a spring, well, for us, spring. For those down under, it would be a fall equinox, but the March equinox. And it's going to be longer this time because the beginning of it, we're going to launch, we being CSC, Creation Spirituality Communities, will launch a project which has been in the works for a year and a half or more. And it is a collection of 4 webinars. We've created 4 webinars, one on each of the 4 paths, via Positiva, Negativa, Creativa, and Transformativa. And we're going to launch that and honor Matt Fox and some of the luminaries who presented, including our own Penny, will be present. I hope you're there. You are one of the luminaries, Penny, that night at 7 o'clock. And then the labyrinth walk. And what makes it special, it's walked in a creation spirituality way. So if you're not familiar with labyrinths, or if you haven't been to a CS labyrinth, please come. We'd love to have you. And how do you get there? You go to the CSC, Creation Spirituality Community, CS Communities, plural. And that website, if you look at the calendar and click on March 20th, you'll be able to register. It'll direct you to how to register. It's free. We just need you to register. So you get the link. So you come. Any questions? I see a yes from Barb. She understands. Okay, thanks so much. Thank you.
Great. Bob, how about Tech Talk?
Sure. Um, it's our tech asks are very simple. We just ask that you keep yourself muted, unless and until you're asking questions. And at that point, you just look under the reactions button, hit the words raise hand, and that'll put you in queue, and we can get to everybody in sequence. I think that's all.
Great. One more thing, and perhaps Bob, you can put your email in the chat. If you want to receive Cosmic Vesper specific information, Bob can put you on what we call Cosmogenesis 24, our email list. And that way you're sure to get anything specific to Cosmic Vespers. You should be signed up for CSC mailings this way anyway, but sometimes things come through and I post it there that I think are pretty exciting and worth knowing. So if you're really wanting to stay abreast of what's happening in Cosmic Vesper world, that is the best way to do it. All right. Oh, well, it's good to be together. Um, in this time like no other. And today we will focus on somewhat in this time like no other. Um, our theme, loose theme, and it's big, so things will fall onto it, is be humble, for you are made of earth. Be noble, for you are made of stars. Be noble, for you are made of earth. Be humble, for you are made of stars. And with that, Gail will chant us in.
Okay. The chant I'm going to do with you today is Return Again. some of you may know this. It's a Jewish traditional one, though written by people whose name is included with the name of the title. As usual, we can't sing together, but if you put yourself on mute, please sing with me or just sink into the chant. It is an amazing piece of music. All right, let's here are the words, and we'll do it 4 times. Oh, sorry. In the middle of it, I'm going to do the improvised syllables that is a Jewish tradition in the singing spiritual songs. So that will happen. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return to who you are. Return to what you are. Return to where you are, born and reborn again. Return again. Return again. Return to the land of your soul. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return to who you are. Return to what you are. Return to where you are, born and reborn again. Return again. Return again. Return to the land of your soul. Lie, 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 la 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 Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return to who you are. Return to what you are. Return to where you are. Born and reborn again. Return again. Return again. Return to the land of your soul.
Thank you, Gail. As we unfold more and more revelation about understandings of the universe through science, understanding of the earth through science, we become more and more connected to Albert Einstein's words. There are two ways to see the world. One is as if none of it is a miracle. The other is that it all is. And with that, I invite you, if you have a candle nearby, to make this time a time out of time and light your candle. So, continuing with the awe from the music, we'll take in a video produced by the BBC, and it offers us yet another opportunity to experience Yugen, that place beyond words where what we're taking in takes us to awe. Bob?
So here is the creation story, as told by science. In the beginning, there was an ocean of energy that drove a rapid expansion of space, known as inflation. There were ripples in the ocean. As inflation ended, the ocean of energy was converted into matter at the Big Bang. And the pattern of the ripples was imprinted into our universe as regions of slightly different density in the hydrogen and helium gas that formed shortly after the Big Bang. The denser regions of gas collapsed to form the first stars. And the first galaxies. And 9 billion years later, a new star formed in the Milky Way, the Sun. The star was joined by 8 planets, including Earth. And nearly 13.8 billion years after it all began, we emerged, blinking into the light.
As you take this in, if some word or phrase comes to mind, please put it in the chat now. Thank you. So, in this time like no other, I thought we'd take a little time to explore as above, so below, being made of earth, being made of stars, to help us get to know what it is we can depend on without question. We're in a meta crisis, and what is said about the meta crises is that they're all interrelated. So we begin there, that they're connected, and only systemic change will serve us. Until very recently, did we have no way of understanding nonlinear and complex systems. We're finally starting to begin to have chaos theory, and it's new. I mean, it may be 100 years old, but it's such a part of life. And prior to all the thinking, they were trying to make it linear. And Einstein bumped up against it. And there were often breakthroughs wanting to happen, but because there was no system for complexity theory and nonlinear thinking, and a place for nonlinear systems, it'd be like this. They couldn't go further with what they were being called to bring forth. And then blessedly around 1930, Ilya Prigogine began to work with this. Now, some of this I say, and I don't fully grasp, but I think it intuitively feels right. One is that this linear way of understanding could be displayed mathematically, but when chaos and complexity come involved, it becomes geometric. So it entered in a whole different set of skills and insights, and we are living into humans just understanding, just beginning on an everyday level to come to know what this really might mean for us. And we need this understanding of non-linearity in order to work with these meta crises in front of us. One thing, just before we go to a video that's going to be very helpful in unpacking what I just said, one thing that has come out of studying with Fritjof Capra, who studies living systems. He, in passing in one of his lectures, said, every cell needs a little bit of calcium. Well, many of us know our bones need calcium, and the only place to get calcium is from the stars. What I didn't know until, a week ago is every cell from the beginning of time required a little bit of calcium. So everything on Earth is here because of being an outcropping of the universe. As Brian Swim says, we are one of many rocky planets that the universe birthed, but then let go of and let that planet's own creativity take it from there. So yet a little bit more awe for the digestion. And now we're going to sit back and watch a 10-minute video on nonlinear systems. And I hope you find it of value.
We invite you to explore an emerging perspective, a holistic and systemic worldview. One that is more fluid, spiritual, peaceful, hopeful, and truthful, and that ultimately elevates our creativity and efficiency and overall experience of life, and will guide us through the current existential challenges facing humanity. The human body is capable of performing the most complex of tasks, with minimum effort with no central command. Recent developments in nonlinear sciences such as systems theory, network theory, cognitive theory, and quantum mechanics are supporting our observation that, like the human body, Earth is a cognitive, self-organizing, self-regulating, self-healing living system. There is an inherent universal organizing pattern that extends from our bodies to the entire universe and exists at every level and scale of existence. The simplicity of it has long been acknowledged and experienced by wisdom traditions worldwide, yet obscured by the dominant, linear worldview, a byproduct of our self-awareness journey. Here, we will delve into the universal behavior of this nonlinear self-organizing process, contrasting it with the dominant linear worldview. Using the human body as a metaphor, we will see how we became out of sync from and how we can realign with the larger process we are all a part of. We can observe the self-organizing process in ourselves, in other species, in the Earth itself, the solar system, and beyond. They all embody a universal inherent organizing pattern, the nonlinear network. Nonlinear networks blend order and randomness, resulting in a system that is both highly interconnected and flexible. Flexible enough to function far from equilibrium in the chaotic zone, where the whole network becomes fractal, a quality that allows for members of the network to synchronize efficiently through cooperation, partnership, and asset management, collectively creating a whole greater than the sum of its parts. In this way, nonlinear networks are the wellspring of the universe's creativity. But through our self-awareness process, we learned how to separate subject from object, and eventually came up with abstract thinking that led to our perception of our elusive separation from the universe. Then, based on the partial stability and order of our immediate surroundings, we approximated the linear model by eliminating perceived randomness and assuming the proportionality of cause and effect, providing linear thinking that works perfectly when events are in equilibrium. But in the chaotic zone, the natural self-organizing process manifests as an absence of any proportionality of cause and effect, generally perceived as randomness. While each event is a result of the contribution of so many sub-events, we linearize the primary event by ignoring seemingly insignificant contributors, concluding the primary event is consequent of only the most significant contributor. It allowed us to predict, plan, and create expectations. This provided the pleasure of certainty for a linear logic that eventually created a deterministic and judgmental belief system. To protect this illusory separated identity, the nature of this linear logic became defensive, leading to liability management, bias towards negativity, and fear of change. And we also established linear relationships based on self-assertiveness, short-term gain, domination, competition, and liability management. Linear thinking developed further in the left hemisphere of the brain and has become the dominant view of humankind, most notably over the past 300 years. Based on this approximate linear model, we created linear economies, political systems, and reductionist science, which have led us to become out of sync with the inherent self-organizing process of the universe at every level, from our personal to social and planetary levels. But the linear model also has served as a powerful tool for our survival, and it has emerged as a part of the cognitive process that is allowing us to acknowledge this universe as a self-organizing system, and is guiding us to realign ourselves in this chaotic nonlinear digital era. With the rise of the internet, a nonlinear network, we have entered an emergent nonlinear era, a digital age characterized by rapid change, heightened interconnectivity, unpredictability, and chaos. The main challenge of this emergence is the domination of the linear model becoming counterproductive and increasingly unsustainable, as it's out of sync with the current nonlinear digital world. To deal with challenges and pass through this emerging period successfully, we must align with the universe's natural organizational pattern, which requires a paradigm shift in our values, relationships, and thinking habits. This paradigm shift begins within the brain and its relationship with the whole body network. Subconsciously, the brain works in harmony with the body through cooperative, nonlinear relationships. However, when dominated by linear thinking, the brain creates a sense of separation from both the universe and the rest of the body network. The brain, a self-organizing system, can be trained to operate in a nonlinear fashion by observing our thoughts and behaviors with nonlinear values, transitioning our thinking from judgment to observation, analysis to intuition, negativity to positivity, blame to acceptance, anger to tolerance, vengefulness to forgiveness, violence to peace, and despair to hope. By viewing challenges as opportunities and cognitive processes with the potential to teach us something greater, our non-judgmental observation acts as a positive feedback system to reorganize the brain. This process can enable the synchronization of the left and right hemispheres, overcoming the dominance of the more analytical, materialistic, and masculine left side. By activating the more intuitive, spiritual, and feminine right side and fostering cooperation between the hemispheres, we unlock the optimum potential of the brain and the whole body network, which in turn allows us to connect with fellow humans intuitively through our hearts, unbridled by judgment. So, it's here, within us, that the paradigm shift starts, beginning in the brain, a major hub of the body network, and expanding outward, advancing the body network physically, cognitively, and spiritually, and then permeating beyond us to any network we're a part of. After all, we are the byproduct of this amazing creative journey, from a single cell to a self-aware human being. Because nonlinear networks exhibit scale-free, universal behavioral patterns and self-similarity, understanding how to shift in our brain and body network reveals the shift of all networks, from our personal to social and environmental activities. This deep simplicity has been hidden due to the domination of and our addiction to the linear model that gives us an illusory sense of control in this nonlinear world. Our planet Earth is telling us, as a cognitive self-organizing system like you, I wanted to become self-aware, and I chose you, human beings, the hub of the Earth network, to go through this self-awareness process. Now that you have acknowledged the simplicity and efficiency of this universal self-organizing process and the limitations of the domination of the linear model, this step of your journey has been achieved. Now, simply focus on your achievements and assets rather than your liabilities. You see, I give you all that you need, unconditionally, without expectation or judgment. All you need to do is act like me, with unconditional love, and synchronize with the greater process that you're a part of. Aligning with the natural pattern of organization of the universe helps us reconnect with the greater self-organizing process we're all a part of by shifting our focus from our differences to commonalities, from liabilities to our assets and achievements, from domination to cooperation. And by embracing flexibility, simplicity, interconnectivity, cooperation, non-judgment, and unconditional love, we will awaken our entire being and elevate our experience of life. This process begins within our brain to free ourselves from the domination of the left side linear mind, to achieve a higher potential of a whole that is working in full cooperation. And this applies to the whole body and permeates to any network we're a part of, any interaction of human beings, our social networks, our economic, political, and environmental policies, and to our whole planet network. By acknowledging nonlinear networks as the underlying pattern of the universal self-organizing process, given that nonlinear networks have self-similar behavior, knowledge of one network provides an understanding of all at any scale. And so knowing how to realign with this universal pattern in your body network can expand to any network at any scale. That's the deep simplicity, long acknowledged and experienced by wisdom traditions worldwide, reuniting nonlinear science and spirituality. Explore more at self-org.org.
So we're going to take the next 5 minutes in silence for you to journal, sit, write, draw, whatever you're called to do in these minutes, taking in whatever part is arising and alive within you right now. And when you're ready, bring yourself back to our Zoom room. So we open this time up for the next 10 minutes or so to what some call a council circle, what others might call emergent dialogue, where whatever is arising is spoken and then we engage deeply with each other. And so the invitation is open. We ask that you raise your hand just for orderliness in this process. And I understand we just saw a big thing, and when the recording announcement goes out, I'll have Bob will include the link to this video so you can watch it at your leisure over and over. But what is arising? And we sit in silence, and when one person finishes, allow silence between the next person who is wanting to speak.
And again, if you just go to the reactions button and click on raise hand, we'll be able to take you in sequence. Catherine, yes, go ahead. Unmute yourself.
I might have to stop if there's nailing and hammering and all that in the other room.
Sounds good.
So I guess, you know, if all of this happened because of the brain, and that is the answer of where we begin, you know, on heading more back into the holistic, or I know, you know, many of us have been doing this for a long, long time, but in simplistic terms, that then in my experience, that meditation, you know, is that which shifts the brain from left to right, and and it can be all kinds of meditation, as you all know, but I have been doing this with parent groups for the last 15 years now, and God, I can tell you, I have seen it from the individual to the families to the institutions to the traffic, you know, to all layers of our world, you know, my world here where I live, and and it I just needed to say that it just has worked so beautifully, and may it continue to do so. Thanks.
Thanks, Catherine. Marianne, go ahead and unmute yourself. I think perhaps I should be spotlighting people who are speaking, just so we can pay better attention, if that's okay with everybody. Like so? Okay.
Yeah, Katie, I agree. For me, any kind of silence enables me to listen. But what came to me was that what Penny taught us about this non-linear system, this amazing order, is the land of my soul.
we have some wonderful quotes coming through. Perhaps, Bob, when you send out the recording, could you capture these as well?
I will do that.
Thanks.
And Shelley, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Thank you. Wonderful. It feels to me like there's a lot of self-forgiveness involved in moving into the process. Because I think for me, at least, the judgmental piece often is self-directed, and it's hard to get beyond that. So I think that's what came to me, is that it's a place to start. And for me, meditation, forever, it has never worked when I sit still. I have to be moving, meditating in silence, but moving. And it's extraordinary. But I think, at least for me, it will be an expansion of non-judgmental thinking, but also of myself. Letting go of claiming assets, I guess, is something I heard, or celebrating accomplishments. Thank you. That's it.
Thanks, Shelley. Barbara, yes, go ahead. Unmute yourself. And are we going to get to see your video?
Mute. I got to unmute. I don't know why the camera was working before and now it isn't. So let me, like start video. I must have hit, okay. Phew.
There you go. There you go.
Let me get back in the spirit of listening and learning. I initially was drawing. I appreciated the invitation to draw because I find when I draw, it's usually trees and nature and what speaks to me. But I feel like, and I'm going to now take off from what was said, I think what this all means to me is soul work. And I so appreciate someone mentioning the word soul, because I feel like in many groups I'm in, that word is never used or spoken or said. And I feel like I'm here for my soul work. And part of this community helps me explore and feeds that in a way that other communities which are wonderful communities. It just feels like everything is at so many levels. And I just appreciate the wisdom that people share here. So thank you.
Thanks, Barbara. Gail, go ahead and unmute yourself and then.
This this piece here is this is it right here. They got some kind of words, right? While I was singing, they had some, do you really want to sing in this language, or do you want to sing in another language? And I'm supposed to notice that and press yes or no in the middle of the song. Here's another something. I'll just try to ignore it. I'll pick over here where I can see my face. So this is the same thing that happened with Bob and me today. Now, the last time I did a song, I was really able to make slides and words and put it all together. And this time, try as I might, nothing worked. And Bob saved me and put it together for me, which I appreciate. And I've been coming to realize that the kind of mind that works with computers is not my kind of mind. I just, there's this little tiny thing, just now, the little tiny thing we can do now. There's this now, we can split that into 4 parts and we can give you different little props for each one of the parts. And I guess obviously some people really like it. And there's parts of it I like, but I would like somebody to invent a computer for people with right brains. That's
Oh, that's it? Okay. Mary Jo, yes, unmute yourself and let's hear what your thoughts are, please.
Yes, hello. Um, you know, I loved that video, and the only thing missing for me was the heart realm, although that came in with universal love at the end. Um, and I think when you look at all the great religious traditions and shamanism and all our spiritual traditions, that the power of love is really what we can rely on over and beyond our brain power. And this last week, I was really struggling with all the news and the chaos. And I picked up my tarot deck, and this is the Mother Mary Oracle deck. And I received this message. I don't know if you can see that, but it's Mother Mary with the heart in the center. And it says Our Lady of the Inner Gate. And if I can just read just a few lines of what this message was, it was so meaningful and powerful to me. She says, we are being initiated into the power of our own hearts at this time. The heart creates a powerful magnetic field that can be felt within us and around us. As we grow spiritually, the electromagnetic field of the heart grows too, and our energetic influence can become important not only to immediate family members, but to whole communities with which we are involved. We can become influential and sustaining to the world around us. It is your trust that paves the way to the inner gate, opening it wide and allowing you to discover the treasure within your heart. And I did put in the chat the quote from Ilya Prigogine, I believe, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly. And I'm going to try to quote it from memory, but during times of chaos, even islands of small coherence can impact the entire system, is the idea. And all these feelings came to me as I was watching the video, and I am so grateful for this time with my creation spirituality friends and community. Thank you.
Thanks, Mary Jo.
Thank you, everyone, for sharing and giving voice to sometimes what is hard to speak, but it's coming, it's time. We need to begin the speaking. Harvey, I'm sorry, I didn't see you. Go ahead.
As I was reflecting on that video, I was reminded of a recent article. I think Ian McGilchrist, who's the neurologist, psychoneurologist who writes a lot about the left and right brain, talked about how in the last couple hundred years, our success with the left brain in turning us into machines has led us to think like machines, when in fact plants and human organisms are nothing like machines because they're self-healing, self-organizing systems.
Thank you. That's
Thank you, Harvey.
beautiful. I'll say some wrapping up words and then I'll pass it to Bob and then Marianne will chant us out. One thing I'd like to share is something that stumbled into my life. And Bob, you have the image, if you could share it.
I do. Let me get back there. Hang on a second.
I was putting together my protest placard And then something came along into my life, and I just happened to put them side by side on top of each other. And this occurred. And this image, and I hope you find it slightly delightful. I do. It's a pillow of Albert Einstein. And the quote on the bottom is, "We're all in this together," which will be my marching sign. But as many of you know, Einstein speaks a lot about the whole, and he values intuition over knowledge. So it speaks a lot to his right brain and how he valued that. Okay, Bob, that's enough. Um, so now it sits behind my desk, and I dialogue with it. And so my suggestion is, in these times of hard times and of these abrasive assaults, sometimes to our hearts, maybe think about creating an image of someone who is beloved to you and a big concept, and put them together and have them right by you to dialogue when you need a little boost in the middle of this. The other thing I want to share is this. And I was drawn to it, and I thought, does that mean okay? Because I don't want that for that. And then I remembered that I was taught that this is a mudra for seeing this finger represents you, and the thumb represents the universe. And sometimes in the middle of these assaults of heart, of mind, of soul, sometimes maybe even a simple gesture like this might remind you of the bigger things that we're all part of. And we're hoping to birth in our various islands of coherence. Remembering this is a time like no other, we're having to retrain ourselves. And we are living into this most pregnant time of understanding. As we were thinking and or listening and watching that video, I've been trying to find words for this, that we in the Western world will talk about indigenous peoples as if they have something we lack. And certainly they have preserved a culture that is far more sustainable than our Western culture. But I think it's exactly what this video was pointing to, is that they lived more in the right brain. But what it means is we all have that capacity if we keep it, as Robin Wall Kimmerer says, keep our two-eyed lenses on. Meaning, yes, we come from the Western framework, but there is this right brain, similar to the indigenous peoples, similar to the Eastern traditions, this wholeness that we also carry with us every moment of every day. And we have since we were babies. And we're living into a time when we can do things differently. And we need to. And with that, I pass it to Bob. And hopefully we'll see you next month at Global Kinship. Blessings.
Okay. Thanks, Penny. yes, by all means, with respect to, well, both videos, but especially the longer one, I suspect perhaps I'm not the only one for whom there were a lot of words there, a lot of ideas, and my mind doesn't work at that pace always. So I had to watch it a second time, and I'm sure I will again. So by all means, I'll include the link so that anybody who's interested can have another pass at that. I when we were chatting about today, I asked Penny at one point what the what her overarching theme for today was, or her thought process, and I'm going to repeat it. She read it earlier, but I found it so helpful to anchor me in what we're talking about today. Be humble, for you are made of earth. Be noble, for you are made of stars. Be noble, for you are made of earth. And be humble, for you are made of stars. And it took me back to a time early in my own journey in creation spirituality when I learned through a friend of a quote from Aristotle, going back that far. And I've not been able to retrieve the full quote, other than the fact, the piece that has always stuck with me is his reference to the awe and wonder of creation. And so while in many respects this work is new to us in these times because of what we've been through the last 500 years or whatever since the Enlightenment, and the left brain processes that we have become so accustomed to and which have given us many wonderful gifts. But it's easy to lose, so it's easy to lose track of that awe and wonder. And as we were having this conversation, I was reminded of a book that I learned of 20 years ago when I went back to school for my master's in environmental studies, which is so appropriate to this. The title of the book is Rare Earth: Why Complex Life is Uncommon in the Universe. But what so particularly struck me about it was part of the foundation of the work of the book is what he called rare earth factors. And all the conditions that had to be in place for us to possibly get to where we are today. And it's kind of stunning when you look at it, the various things that needed to be in place, about us being the right distance from the sun, about the sun being the right star to be able to provide the energy we need and support us. The fact that we have stable planetary orbits, that's not always the case. The fact that we have a planet like Mars that helps stabilize us, and the moon that stabilizes our orbit. And the fact that we have a sufficient and appropriate amount of water making up the planet, that we have the right amount of carbon to facilitate life, that oxygen evolved when it did. There was a time when oxygen started becoming prevalent in the planet and killed off much of the living systems until Earth learned to use oxygen and other items. And so all of this goes to supporting what has taken place to me, and I try to keep fresh, is my own sense of awe and wonder, and the encouragement that we got from the video about how love energizes and helps us focus in our work in living within and helping create and modify systems. The fact that, as Harvey pointed out, systems, once we understand systems, we can understand new ones more easily. The fact and the idea that systems are self-energizing, self-healing, self-motivating, that we can influence a system with much less energy, perhaps, than we might otherwise fear. And so that's why many people are hopeful that as we work together, as we come together to hold values and hopes and dreams that will lead us in a healing direction, as opposed to destructive directions, which systems also can do. And so I was, just the last thing that really struck me was, in the last video, was the encouragement, the invitation to us to synchronize ourselves and our work with nonlinear systems of which we are a part. And so I hope that that sticks with some of you as we continue with this work. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Marianne to help us close out today's session. You're still muted, Marianne.
There we go.
There
Can
you
you
go.
hear me now? Yes.
Absolutely.
All right. I'm pulling up. I'm not going to be, well, you might hear me, but I'm not going to be the primary one singing. You're going to hear Starhawk sing the body of the earth, and it's on an album called Campfire Chants. And I've just put the lyrics in the chat. And it goes on for a while, so please try to sing it, even though you're muted. And even maybe more important in the beginning, because it doesn't start for a verse, just make some clap or take your pen and make some percussive sounds. John, pull out your drum, whatever, you know. I think it'll go into your bones that way. So here we go. Can you hear it, Bob? Thank you.
Of the
And now please put us on gallery. And as you will, just give a gesture to this glorious constellation like no other.
Thank you.
As Penny invited at the beginning, if you would like to be added to the Cosmogenesis 24 email list, I've put my email address in the chat, and just send me a note and I'll get you added.
Blessings all.
Love
See you in June or July, one of the two.
Summertime.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
everyone.
Penny.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Fabulous.
Penny.
See you and everybody.
Beautiful. Yeah.